Welcome into this week's Hogs Hoops Report. Ailey Weiss joined by Kevin McPherson. Kevin, we haven't talked in a little bit. So the last time, we haven't talked since they played Houston. So I guess that's where we should start. Kind of just give me your takeaways from that game.
Well, Arkansas loses. Arkansas was on a roll, a bit of a roll, 4 straight wins coming into that one, including 2 wins over ranked teams. We looked at Louisville and Texas Tech.
Yep.
Houston was kind of that rubber match against ranked teams because in November, Arkansas lost, away from home to Michigan State and to Duke. So that was kind of that rubber match. We looked at those 5 big matchups, and it didn't go Arkansas's way. The takeaways, and I've talked about this since the game, and I think it's still important to talk about with a 9-day break between games because you got one more non-conference game. That's against a mid-major tomorrow before you jump into the SEC, where every game is going to feel like those handful of games that you went through in non-conference. And so you could say, well, Arkansas's not trending the right way. I don't think you overreact to one game. But my big takeaway is Arkansas is way ahead of itself offensively than it is defensively. Arkansas is really struggling defensively. Give up 94 points to Houston. Houston scored shot at a high percentage outside the arc, inside the arc. And so Arkansas's defense, if you look at most of those matchups outside of the Michigan State game, teams are getting 80 plus when you play quality teams even if you won a couple of those. Mm-hmm. And so I think defense is one of the concerns. We've talked about lack of physicality, and sort of that missing that enforcer, that space eater, that policeman in the paint, if you want to call it that. Arkansas doesn't really have that. Rim protection remains a question mark. Mm-hmm. Arkansas has been up and down as a perimeter defensive team. Some of these big wins, Arkansas's getting the job done behind the three-point line. The Louisville game comes to mind. Even in some of these other games, not so much.
Right.
And that was, of course, the case against Houston. 11 made threes and shot 44%.
Right.
Did the Cougars. So, I think defensively are where the big question marks are. I think from an individual player standpoint, we're still waiting for Carter Knox and DJ Wagner to play at their preseason all SEC levels.
Yep.
Because that's how they were voted on by the league. So there's multiple things we could look at. On the positive side, you got Darius Acuff Jr. playing at an All-American pace level, not just all league, and that showed up against Houston. One of the bright spots there, Malik Ewan. I talk about need to get better inside, especially in the second half. He kind of took it to Houston's front line and challenged that front line with his offense and drew fouls on guys and got to the free throw line 1,000,000 times and made about 500,000, which is not enough in a game like that. You got to shoot free throws better. So it's both sides of the coin, like you would expect. Mm-hmm. In non-conference play, you're working on stuff. You're getting better in some ways. Other areas, maybe you're wondering, is this becoming a consistent theme? Is this going to carry over into league play? Will this be problematic? I have concerns about Arkansas's defense. I do think guys like Knox and Wagner are probably going to turn a bit of a corner. How much of one, I don't know. I expect in those league wars, I think those guys have to be better, and I think they will be. Can you count on Malik Ewan to make that next step? And, and Trevor Brazile, who we've also felt like's had an all-league campaign to this point. Not his best night against Houston, but he got 2 early fouls and sat the vast majority of that first half. It affected his play, I thought, in the second half when he was available. So, a lot of stuff, I think, that's unresolved in terms of what we believe we really know still going into league play, but we know more. And then James Madison tomorrow night's that, like you said, that last dress rehearsal before it gets really tough and you open up with a ranked Tennessee team at home at Bud Walton Arena on Saturday, less than a week from today.
So I guess looking forward then to the James Madison game, what are some things that you're looking for Arkansas to kind of clean up during that game before they enter conference play?
I'd like to see Arkansas try to make a statement defensively. Arkansas has a tendency, because they've got so much offensive talent, playing mid-majors at home. You start seeing the 3 balls flying, the pace. I have no problem with Arkansas dictating some of that. But how about defensively holding an opponent below, let alone 80 points, about holding them less than 70? Mm-hmm. How about making it a challenge to even score 60? I mean, that should be a goal of Arkansas's. I mean, the last time the Razorbacks did that, you go back to that North Little Rock game, against Fresno State. Arkansas wins that 82-58. Had a huge second half. The defense really put the clamps down, especially on the perimeter in that game. So let's see if Arkansas can make a statement defensively. That's what I'd like to see, and I'd like to see Arkansas continue to maybe get maybe a few more minutes for DJ Wagner playing at the lead guard. You don't want to take away too much from what Acup's doing, but let's
Right.
see a little more DJ on the ball. That's when he plays his best.
Yep.
Let's see if Carter Knox can have another game. Let's hope the Houston game, because he was kind of ramping things up. He had the big 20-point game against Texas Tech.
Yep.
So let's hope he can put the Houston game behind him and get back in the swing of things and maybe have a productive game there. Continue to work the ball inside to Malik Ewan, really focus on him as an interior kind of go-to guy. I mean, there are multiple things I'd like to see, kind of touching on some of the stuff I said before, just this specific matchup. Maybe try to work on some things. Then you'll have a few days off still to watch film on that game, other games, and stuff you want to single out to show your players from all of non-conference play, to really then zero in on what you're going to need to do in league play. Because again, every game at that point is tough. It's like playing you just expect it, and especially when you go on the road. So James Madison is not, and again, here's the other thing. You want to put your best foot forward. Arkansas is probably on an off night good enough to win at home against James Madison. We see trap games all the time.
Yep.
League play is about to start. You've had a long, rusty layoff. So then, bare minimum, you'd love to work on multiple things, but at the same time, you don't want to be in a position where you're fighting for your life. And we saw that against Winthrop. Sanford put a charge and a scare in Arkansas. And so you hope it won't be like that. But at the same time, you've got to get this W. Get you to 10 wins, by the way. Arkansas can get to 10-3 with a win over James Madison, a team that comes in 7-6. Nothing spectacular about that team on the mid-major level, but you got to respect everybody. Because anything can happen in college basketball.
Yep. I do want to go back to something that you briefly touched on in the very beginning about the offense getting ahead of itself, and I think that was a really big issue against Houston. 12 turnovers. When I looked at the stat sheet after the game, when I looked at the box score, that was something that just jumped out off the screen right into my face. I'm like, 12 turnovers against a team like that, which I get, you have to credit Houston's defense. It's one of the best in college basketball right now. But 12 turnovers, and I think it goes to your point of getting ahead of yourself, of not kind of having that identity, trying to push the pace too much and not really almost not knowing what to do with the ball. That's kind of what it felt like Arkansas was dealing with for a majority of the game against Houston.
Yeah, they got better in the second half, but they had 9 of those turnovers in the first half, and Houston had that big 21-2 run,
right,
and built a 21-point lead, 40-19. It was Arkansas's biggest deficit of the season. Arkansas was careless with the ball, and I think Arkansas didn't have. I felt like they just weren't prepared for what Houston was going to throw at them. And sometimes you can prepare and know what's coming, and then until you actually face it,
right.
But at the same time, Arkansas just needed to be better. Some of it, to me, was self-inflicted. And yeah, sometimes you feel like you're clicking on so many cylinders offensively, and you've got talent on that side of the ball that sometimes maybe you let some of the details that matter. You're not good enough offensively to go in against that kind of opponent and not really treasure that ball and protect possessions. And so you're right. Arkansas got a little ahead of itself there, maybe being a little confident about, well, we're good enough, or what they bring is not going to affect us. And I thought not only did it affect Arkansas, it impacted Arkansas, and it probably tipped the scales enough that no matter what Arkansas did, they were never quite in striking distance to actually win the game.
Yep.
Yeah, you got back within 8 a few times, including the second half. But the problem there is, until you really get within a 2-possession deficit, and that was 8 points as a 3-possession deficit, you got to get within 2 to really put pressure on the other team in terms of their mentality. We're in real trouble here. And Arkansas could never quite do that against a really good Houston team that, even had Arkansas gotten that close, doesn't mean you win, but it gives yourself a better chance to kind of flip that script. It's what Arkansas did against Texas Tech. Remember, Arkansas trailed for over 32 minutes in that game against Houston. Now, they never fell behind by 21, but they fell behind by 10. But against Houston, Arkansas only had the big deficit to overcome, but they trailed by 37 minutes, and the only chance, again, to crack that code would have been to get a little closer than an 8-point deficit. Then maybe you can flip things around. And it's something they, again, hopefully they've learned from. And, they are not going to get the same challenge playing at home from James Madison that Houston brought, but Tennessee right around the corner. And Tennessee, by the way, is beating Houston. That's that's Houston's only loss on the season was to Tennessee, earlier in non-conference play.
Yep, Arkansas for sure has their work cut out for them. We'll be previewing the upcoming games for the Hogs after the break. Stick with us. Welcome back into the Hog Hoops Report. Ailey Weiss here with Kevin McPherson, and we're going to talk about the only guy really on JMU that's been standing out. We were just talking in our break really quick, Justin McBride.
Yeah, 6'8" forward. He's been around the block. Played at the high major level with Oklahoma State in the Big 12. Transferred to Nevada. Now he's at James Madison. They've got 3 players in double-figure scoring per game. He leads the team with over 17 points per game, nearly 6 rebounds. But he's a versatile 6'8" forward. I mean, this guy shooting over 53% overall from the field. A really good free throw shooter, 78%, but on really good volume, a good volume of three-point shooting. Nearly a 48% shooter from 3. And so he can give you problems inside and out. And they've got other guys, but I mean, just using that as one example, that's why even when you look at mid-majors, sometimes they got guys that are not only veteran guys, older guys, but sometimes they've played on the bigger stages as well, including Justin McBride. And so that's why you take everybody seriously. Again, James Madison, I think, one above 500, 7-6. They play in one of the better mid-major conferences, the Sun Belt. And if you look at them from a quad standpoint, a net standpoint, they're ranked, around 217th in net. Nothing spectacular there. They've lost both of their quad 1 game opportunities. I think they're 2-3 in quad 3, and the rest of their wins, I think they're 4-1 in quad 4. So, there's nothing that jumps out at you that's scary here. It is one of the top shot blocking teams in the country. Over 5 blocked shots per game, good rim protection, so that ranks top 30 in Division I. Also, defensively, they hold teams just a hair below 7 made threes per game, and that ranks top 95th in Division I. So it's not like they don't come in with some challenges. I just think Arkansas. It's important for Arkansas to take this team seriously, number one, but also to try to work on some things, fine tune some things, and have a defensive performance they can be proud of and say, okay, this is something to build on moving into league play.
But we're just talking about how they need to work on their perimeter D. So they can shut down McBride from 3, then that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and you asked me, how do you deal with this guy? I mean, that's one of the things that's going to be interesting because Trevor Brazile is a versatile 4 for Arkansas, and McBride not as tall, doesn't have all the bells and whistles athletically and size wise as Brazile, but this is a matchup that might be a very interesting one, and I'm sure Brazile would love to have a bounce back game after sitting out so much of Houston and that being, really his second game of the year where he's underperformed. He's been really solid. But some of the matchups, when you look at, Arkansas's backcourt, I don't see a guard out there that I believe can shut down Darius Acuff.
We haven't seen one yet.
He's just on a roll right now. I haven't seen it, and he's on a roll right now playing this basketball. He seems to really understand, got a really good balance of understanding facilitator, shot selection, these things. Not that he's perfect, but he's just getting better, doing a better job of taking care of the basketball. You want to see Malik Thomas. I should have mentioned him. I'd love to see him snap out of his little funk. He's been a little shooting drought, and his minutes have gone down a little bit. Let's see if Malik Thomas can snap back, bounce back, and begin an ascension to what we saw in the exhibition season. And for much of non-conference play, remember, Arkansas's home win over Louisville. Malik Thomas was 17 big points in that game. So he has stepped up, but it's been a minute. He hasn't been playing, like I said, playing his best. Maybe we see more of that, but it's always a college team, well, any sport, but a college team especially is always a work in progress. You want to be playing your best basketball in February, in March. You're definitely paying attention to what are they learning about themselves and how are they making adjustments to improve in non-conference play. But the league presents, again, real test every night. So one more to go, James Madison, before Arkansas steps into that big light and on those bigger stages again. It definitely benefits Arkansas having a handful of big stage games, so that they can, so that they know what that feels like, and it lessens the the big stages once you get into league play.
Yep.
but James Madison can still inform you of things you need to do. And so I look at it as a chance for Arkansas to continue to get better.
Chance for Arkansas and Coach Cal to kind of reactivate some of those players that have maybe fallen off lately in the last couple of games. That'll do it for your Hoops Report this week with Kevin McPherson. I'm Ailey Weiss. Kevin, thank you as always.
Ailey, thank you. Always great to be with you.